you take, once you mix your resin and hardener, okay, the resin will remain in liquid form for only some time. After that, the resin will become hard. So that time in which the resin is in liquid form and you can work with it is known as the pot life of your resin. Fine? Because once your resin turns hard, you will not be able to manipulate or add anything to it. So pot life is also called as the workable time. So my resin, for today, I am using Eporex company resin, but I use different company resins like Jax, Chemic, Sol, Fortune Chemi. There are so many, and it all depends on the project that you are working on. So I do not suggest that you have to stick to this resin only. You can use whatever resin is easily available to you people. But there are few tricks which you need to follow. Okay, so my resin, the pot life of my resin that I'll be using today is 25 minutes. That means once I'll be mixing my resin and hardener, I will have only 25 minutes to finish up my project. After which my resin will be very, it will start becoming hard and I cannot manipulate. Fine. Now comes the curing time. So what is the curing time? Curing time is the time after which you can functionally use your piece. So if you're if you're making a clock, you can fix the machine and hang it. If you're making a tray, you can serve anything in it. Your resin will no more be sticky or your fingerprints will not come on that. So that is the curing time. So for my resin, again, the curing time is 24 hours. Fine. Anushka, it depends on the resin that you are using. For my resin, the pot life is 25 minutes and curing time is 24 hours. Now, when I'm working on big projects like 4 feet, 5 feet, that time 25 minutes is not enough. So that at that time, I select the resin which has pot life, like the workable time of 60 minutes. That means the reaction is very slow. So curing will also happen very slow. That time, the curing time may go to 30 to 40 hours also. Okay. So that's why I said that I select my resin depending on the project that I'm working. All right. Am I clear till now? Okay. Now we just discussed about base and resin and hardener. Third thing that we need is a blowtorch. Okay. This is a blowtorch. And it has a button here which you press and a flame comes out. So this flame basically is used to get rid of air bubbles. I have specifically created one piece so that I can explain that. So here if you see this piece, the blue portion is super glossy and smooth because I removed the air bubbles. But here I didn't remove the air bubbles and you can see the uneven surface. Is it visible? The small pits. Okay, so that happens because I didn't remove the air bubbles. Now if you don't remove air bubbles, as your resin starts hardening, the bubbles will burst and it will leave the small holes or the pits there. So that's the reason it's very important that you need to remove the air bubbles. So for that purpose we use this blowtorch. If you don't have blowtorch, you can use heat gun, hair dryer or isopropyl alcohol spray. In case instead of blowtorch, you can use heat gun, hair dryer and isopropyl alcohol spray, which is also known as rubbing alcohol, and it's easily available in the medical shop. Okay. See guys, we will be doing the practical thing and I know what all doubts you people will be having. So I'm trying to explain, covering all your doubts. So rather than questioning right now, just listen to me. I know what all questions you will be having. So I'll try and answer it up. Okay. We will be doing practical also. So you will see which thing is to be used at what point of time. Fine. So we just discussed about the base, resin and hardener, and third was the blowtorch. Now, as you see my pieces, each piece has some or the other shade. Some has blue color, some has pink and orange, some has the green and the black, which I showed. So there has to be something which we can add to resin to color our resin. So that something is known as the pigment. So we need to add the pigment in the resin so that our resin gets colored, and then we can create whatever we want. Now, for beginners, it is not advisable that the pigments are used because pigments are quite expensive and you people are still learning to handle resin and hardener. So what I suggest my beginner participants is go ahead with the acrylic paints, but not in the resin. I'll come to it why not to use in resin. So what we do is we will be using the acrylic paints to paint our base. Then we will be mixing our resin and hardener. We will be pouring it, and then we will use only one pigment, that is white pigment, for the wave part. Okay, so when you are still learning to handle resin and hardener, invest in only few pigments and play with it to understand how to handle the flow and everything. So now I said that we will not be mixing the acrylic paints in the resin because these acrylic paints have a lot of water content. So when you add that to resin, your resin will form lumps and it will just spoil your resin. Okay, so you can use acrylic paints on your base. Yes, Manali, you can use alcohol ink, but even that is expensive. Not everybody at the starting can invest in that. So that's the reason I'm giving them the option, which is very feasible for them to start with. Okay, so yes, you can use the pigments which are in paste form. You can use pigments which are in powder form. And as Manali told, yes, you can even use the alcohol ink. Fine. So that are all possible coloring agents that you can use in resin. And then we need small things like cup and ice cream stick to mix our resin and hardener. As resin is a chemical, we will be wearing the gloves as well as the mask. All right, am I clear till now? Yes, thumbs up, anything? All right, great. So now we will be starting with the practical thing, and I'll be turning my camera towards the table and then I'll start painting my base. So for the sand part, I'm taking this black acrylic paint, and for water part, I'll be taking teal blue and cerulean blue. Okay, so I'm taking this. Kajal, I have not tried with the photo ink, but yes, definitely you can give it a try. Okay, so I'll be mixing SJ. I'm doing whatever I said. I'm doing the practical thing now. You can just follow with me now. So first I'll be starting with the sand part, that is black tone, and let me just turn the camera. So first of all, I'll be painting my sand part, which I want in black shade. So you have to decide like how much part of your poster you want as your sand part and paint it from left to right. It will give you very beautiful strokes. Okay. So now we all know that as water will go deeper, it gets darker. So we will be starting with the lighter shade here, that is steel blue, and then add the cerulean blue here. So here is my cerulean, like teal blue. And as I said again, just go from left to right. Go slowly that you do not merge up with the black. Slowly cover up the part. All right, now take some more color and color up till the point you want your water to be a bit lighter. But go from left to right. Now I want my coaster to have the lighter shade till here. So I'll stop here and I'll take the darker shade, that is cerulean blue, and I'll not be washing my brush because I want to blend it. Okay, take some cerulean blue and just merge it with the teal blue. Just go over it and then slowly just go up. Take some more. Repeat the process and go till the top of your coaster. All right. So now once my coaster is covered up, what I'll do is I'll start from the top and go till the end of my water part till my shades are nicely blended. If you want more of lighter shade, then go from bottom to top. And if you want more of darker shade, then come from top to bottom. Just do this 2 to 3 times till you get a very good blending. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just turn the camera and show you. Yes, all the colors are acrylic. All right, so here is the coaster and you can see how nicely the shades have blended. Now what I'll do is I'll just take some paper, tissue paper, and then just wipe out the excess paint from the sides. Okay. No need to add water as the colors, like the acrylic colors, are already very fluid. Thank you, Shreya. So now we will be leaving this to dry. And by the time this dries, what we will be doing is we will be measuring our resin and hardener and then mixing it and getting it ready. Okay. So as you see my pieces, they are quite clear. From the backside also, you will not find any resin droplets or anything. So you can achieve that perfect backside also. You can achieve the perfect backside also when you measure your resin and hardener depending on the size of your piece. So that we will be discussing in the further session. But right now, to explain you, I'll just tell you that for this 4-inch coaster, I need 10 grams of my resin and hardener mixture. Okay. So now comes the theory part. I told my resin is 2:1. And now I'm telling you that I need 10 grams. So I need to divide 10 into 2:1 part. That is 2 parts of my resin, which will be 7 grams. And half of it will be 3.5. So I'll get the total of 10.5 grams of my resin and hardener mixture. And this maintains the ratio of 2:1. And my required quantity is also achieved. Okay. I said that for this 4-inch coaster, I need 10 grams of my resin and hardener mixture. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking 7 grams of resin and half of it, that is 3.5, as my hardener. So my 2:1 ratio is maintained and my required quantity is also achieved. No, Khushi, I'm doing everything before you only. You can see just acrylic paint is what I'm applying. Jyoti, that we will be discussing in the further session because the calculation is quite confusing and big. So that we will be doing in the masterclass, as Manda told that we even have the masterclass. All right. So right now to just move further, I just told the total quantity we need is 10 grams. And I'll quickly wear my mask and the gloves. Just give me 1 minute. Guys, do not do it without the gloves because you don't know your skin type. Sometimes resin can have reaction. Okay. And this is the weighing scale that I'll be using. Pooja, it's 7 and 3.5. See, while measuring, in case of 7, if it goes to 8, please take hardener according to that. Okay, do not calculate, stick to 3.5 late there for the hardener. All right, so I'll take my part A, that is resin first. Now I'll be taking my part B. That is the hardener, and it has to be half of it. Okay. Now, when you take this resin and hardener, it is more like liquid water. It is super clear. I don't have a plastic cup today. It is 7 grams of resin and 3.5 grams of your hardener. If your weighing scale doesn't show 0.5, then you can go with 8 and 4 also, or 6 and 3 also. Okay, so I was just telling that this resin and hardener that I have, it is more clear like water. If I can show you. Okay, it is more clear like water. But what happens is once you start mixing, the resin and hardener will turn turbid like lemon juice. It will become white, turbid. Okay. So now I'm just taking this ice cream stick and mixing it slowly, slowly. You have to mix very slowly and scrap the sides of your base, sides and the base of your cup. You cannot use the measuring cups because the resin says it is in grams. Okay, if it is in ml, then you can use your measuring cups. But when your resin is in by weight and not by volume, you cannot use the measuring cups. Mix very slowly and scrap the sides as well as your base. And now comes my theory part that I have to mix it for 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll be mixing very slowly. If you mix vigorously, what will happen? You will have lots and lots of air bubbles. So mix slowly and scrap the sides as well as base to have a proper mixture. So the indication is like, First, when you take, your liquid is super clear, and when you start mixing, the reaction happens, so it becomes turbid. Okay, and then you keep on mixing for 3 to 5 minutes, and again it turns clear. So that means that your mixture is ready to pour. So there is one indication, like, you can stop mixing is when you move your ice cream stick, there should be no lines forming behind your ice cream stick. I don't know how will I show it, but yes, let me just show it. Okay. So I'm just mixing it slowly and scraping the sides as well as the base. So you need to mix it for around 3 to 5 minutes till the mixture turns clean again. And as I said, you should understand the end point. Like when you move your ice cream stick, there should be no lines forming behind the ice cream stick. That shows that your mixture is ready to pour. Sonali, for that, Manda will give you the the proof at the end once I stop. So don't worry for that. All right, so my mixture is now clean again. It's completely clear and I can see my base, and it doesn't even form the lines. So now what I'll do is I'll be checking my coaster if it has dried. There's one very thin line that is still wet. So I'll just clean it up rather than waiting more, because it's just near the sand part. All right, so rest everything has dried out. Now never place your coaster directly on the table like this and then do, because in case if resin falls, this piece will get stuck to the table. So what I do is I use again the same paint bottles, level up my piece and then place over it. Okay. Now we will be pouring our resin and hardener mixture over the coaster. But I'll just show you one or two pieces. What I basically like doing is, as you see here, I don't like adding my resin to the sand part, so that this water part which has resin, it will give a bit of embossed look coming over the sand. So you see this, you see this. It has a glossy resin part only over the water, not on the sand. So what for the sand? For the sand, you can use the varnish and cover it up. Okay. So same thing I'll be doing here. I'll be applying my resin and hardener mixture only to the water part. Do not pour completely. Pour as and when required. So pour some and then start spreading it. And see that you cover up every edge of your coaster. Should be nicely covered. There should be no dry area left. Then if you need, yes, you can take a bit of your resin, but first spread it. Now I'll take some, and to give it a natural look, what I'll do is I'll just get some resin over my sand part. Okay, now you can just check if anywhere, if there is less resin, you can just add it. Now, if you have blowtorch, use blowtorch, and if you have isopropyl alcohol spray, you can spray right now. So what you have to do is, this is the blowtorch, and I'll be keeping 1 to 2 finger distance and quickly moving it so that all of my air bubbles will be removed. Okay. Now to the remaining. Was it blur? I have just poured the clear resin. Is it not visible, Manda?
It is, ma'am. It is.
Yeah. Okay, so here I'm having some clear resin and hardener left. So what I'll be doing is, I have this empty cup here with me. This is an empty cup, and I'll take some resin and hardener in that. Kajal, that we will be doing in the main course. Don't worry, I'll show you with different tools. Okay, in this right now, I need to see that I have beginners also. So I need to show them with the minimum things I can. Okay, so I have just taken some quantity of my resin and hardener in the another cup. And now what we'll do is, we will be adding the white pigment. So before you add your white pigment, please make sure that you clean and wipe your ice cream stick before that. So just clean it up and make it dry. You can, if you want, you can use another ice cream stick. Okay, and then just dry it out, clean it up. And this is my white pigment, which is in paste form. So it is more like a paste. Okay, and I'll take very little quantity, as the resin and hardener mixture that we have is very less. So it's just like a small pea ball, and you just need to mix it up in the clear resin and hardener. Now, if you want, you can mix vigorously, because you don't have to check the end point of resin and hardener. Your resin and hardener is already mixed. So you can just mix vigorously and see that your pigment is mixed up nicely. So here is my white pigmented resin. All right. So now what I'll do is, I'll have to pour and create the waves. But if I pour right now, my white is very fluidy. This resin and hardener mixture is very, very, very thin, like water. So it drops and it breaks in between. In order to have perfect cell effect, like you see here, or you see here, in order to have this kind of cell effect, you need to wait till your white pigmented resin turns thicker like sugar syrup. So when you stretch from here, it should just make thread. No, that will not work. As I said, only pigments need to be added to the resin to color. Okay, so as you see, it is thickening up, but it will take 5 minutes. And then when I stretch, it should create a complete thread. So till that, I'll just answer up your questions, and Manda will take it further. I told I'm using Eporex company resin today. It's EPOREX. Brand name and everything, vendor details and everything we will be discussing later in the further class, because it's not possible to cover up everything here. So, but yes, definitely I'll suggest you people to go ahead with the paste pigments. My base is MDF base.